Hi everybody, we're here today with Tim West of Tim's Electric with an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Tim and how he got into the video making and that. Tim, without further ado, welcome. But
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe you started back in about October 2019.
Yep.
Can you tell us how you got started and what made you get started with all the videos that you've now posted on your YouTube channel?
Well, you know what? It's funny. I was actually just scrolling through YouTube. I didn't know anything about electric scooters. I happened to see one. I saw a couple of videos. One, in fact, stuck to my mind. It was Jim over at the Electron Surfer. I'll put that down in the show notes. Great guy. Somebody actually I talk to now every so often. It's kind of surreal, if you like, to actually speak to somebody who you've seen on camera before. But anyway, he was reviewing the 09, I think it was back then. And I just thought, wow, that just seems like a really smart way to get around town.
Okay.
Because at the time I was living in an apartment and buying an e-bike, although I like the idea of the e-bike, giving me the power to get up the hills, and it always seems like I'm going against the wind living here in Victoria. Like it always seems to be a headwind. Maybe that's the same in your city. But as a result, I thought, well, you know what, the scooter, that just seems like a really smart idea. So I looked at the scooter as an option, and yeah, that sort of got me on the path. Bought a used one.
Okay.
And yeah.
And then you that first video, I believe, was a comparison of the 08 and the 09.
That's right.
And in it, you share some of your thoughts about why you chose the model that you did chose, which I think was the 09.
It was.
But yeah, you could have just stopped there. So what inspired you to keep on going?
You know what? I was tickled by it. Like whenever you're riding around an electric scooter, I find I'm just smiling and having fun. It just seemed to me to make an awful lot of sense for somebody who lives in the city on a dry day, on a relatively warm day or a really warm day, to go out there and just have a little fun and not pay for parking, not, you know, you're not using up gas. We live in British Columbia, which is, I think, like 95% hydroelectric anyway. Yeah. So it means that the electricity, A, isn't horribly expensive, and B, it's abundant. So I'm big fan of that. And, you know, I'm also a bit of a minimalist, so I don't have a lot of stuff in our home. We moved from, living in a house and coming down into living in an apartment and getting rid of a lot of stuff. So I didn't want to have, you know, a huge electric bike sitting in my front hall, as it were, using up space.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So it's been 2 years if we look back, and you've amassed quite a number of videos. So, you know, where do you see this going?
Well, I'm really tickled by it. I mean, I had a goal of 100 videos to make. And what I decided to do there was, and I've done this before, I did this in photography, and the goal really is really simple, is I do 100 of something, and then I figure out where I'm going. So the electric scooters, I did 100 electric scooter videos. We did the 100th one just about a month or two ago.
Okay.
And so, you know, I've gone past that, and now I'm sort of thinking, you know, what can we do next? You know, and I think the next thing for me to do is to start doing a little bit more e-bikes and electric scooters, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Tim, I want to pick up on something. You mentioned 100 videos. What does that mean?
Well, I heard it once a long time ago that, in fact, it was a mentor of mine in the photography world, an online teacher, and he said, you know, if I wanted to get good at something, just go and do it 100 times. You'll find by doing it over 100 times that you'll actually get okay at it.
Okay.
And you'll have an idea. Now, in the photography world, it was all about getting sort of your look, if you like, the look of a shot.
Yes.
And developing your own sort of look and your style, if you like, of photography. And I feel the same thing's happening now with making these videos with yourself and with Melissa's help, doing the cameras behind the scenes and doing the editing. I'm starting to get a feel for how I want my videos to look. And basically what I would like to do is make sure I'm showcasing beautiful British Columbia, looking, you know, where we live. We're right now sitting below some beautiful cherry blossom tree, and, you know, we get to shoot by the ocean, shoot in the mountains, shoot, you know, all over this beautiful, beautiful town. Yep. And I just want to be able to share that. I want to encourage other people to see that, you know, a big guy like myself, small people, everybody can ride micromobility, save your money, leave the car at home if you can, and maybe just take a look. And so if hopefully people see me doing it, they're like, well, if he can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, well, and that's, so we're going to switch to a couple of questions about, oops, how cameras fall over. Okay, so no, I wanted to ask a question about the growth. You've seen the subscribers increase over time,
Yep.
and sort of what do you attribute that to? What's the interest?
Well, that's really good. I think it's really niche. Like, I don't think, everybody's getting fired up about micromobility. So I think the audience is fairly niche. People are coming on board all the time now. I'm seeing, just anecdotally speaking, as I ride around Victoria, 2 years ago, I never saw scooters. And some electric bikes, but now I'm seeing lots of electric bikes and lots and lots of electric scooters too. So a plethora of micromobility out there for sure.
Okay, yeah. So you're, and I've been with you a number of times when people have stopped and asked you questions about what you're doing, what you're riding.
Right, so and you're right. I mean, I love the community side of it, so I love responding to all the comments on the YouTube channel. I love going on and watching other YouTube channels doing the same thing. I like supporting them by asking them questions and listening to their answers. Watching the videos. I get a real kick out of it.
Okay, well, that's great. So we're going to switch to some questions about your riding. So how would you describe your riding style?
Slow. Slow. I like to ride about 20 miles an hour, about 32 kilometers an hour. I typically will set whatever electric scooter I'm using or trying out. I'll figure out what combination of dual motor, single motor, power level, whatever it is, until I figure out which one it is that has the sort of the max of 20 miles an hour, and then that's the one I go with.
Okay, so not the daredevil settings.
I am not a daredevil, no. I love just cruising along, taking an hour or two, and just enjoying the views.
Yes, and getting you where you need to go safely, right?
Yeah, so. No, I use it, for example, from downtown Victoria up to University of Victoria. It's about 8 kilometers, 5 miles. So there and back, 10 miles, 16 kilometers. And I love the fact that I get up there, I referee a game, I don't have to pay for parking, I leave the scooter by my bag on the soccer pitch if I'm playing, turn around, ride back. It takes, I'm going about the same speed as traffic at 20 miles an hour because it's a city, and I'll just see you at the next red light a few moments later. You know?
So less carbon footprint, and you not have the hassle of finding parking spaces. So that really works to you. So how do you classify your size? I understand you usually use a term.
I am a big guy. Yeah,
big guy.
I'm about 260 pounds and 6 feet tall. So I'm a very big guy.
So again, most of the time you're tailoring your views for those to try and identify those characteristics.
Exactly, because I struggled. Like, that was one of the things I struggled with a little bit. Even though I watched Jim's video and I watched other people's videos, they're in California where it's 20 degrees or nice and warm. It hardly ever rains. They're all like 6 feet tall at about 150 pounds or 175 pounds. And I'm like, well, that's great, but there are certain things that happen when you're riding an electric scooter as a bigger guy that you have to think about, like, am I going to get more flat tires? What's the range impact going to be if I'm 265 pounds or 260 pounds?
Temperature affects that too.
Temperature, like living in Canada, it gets cold.
Yeah.
And so, riding around 0 degrees, that makes a big difference. So there's the wear and tear on the machinery, there's the temperature, and of course the weather itself.
Yeah, but so it's good that you've got a niche in terms of the big guy, rating and approved. That's all good.
Big guy approved. That's right.
But I noticed that your reviews tend to appeal to a very wide audience.
So it is kind of fun that even though I thought I would only be speaking to big guys, I get people asking me questions all the time that aren't big guys. I have a lovely a photographer in New York the other day reached out, and she's asked me a bunch of questions, and she's obviously interested in micromobility. She rides herself in New York City, and she does what I do, which is, I'll show up to a photography gig with my backpack with the camera equipment, with my little electric scooter, and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And I just thought, when I heard from her as well, I was like, that's awesome. That's exactly what I do.
Yes.
So
there's a lot of similarities, and obviously your sense of humor and your charisma comes across through the videos. So I think it appeals to a wide audience. Listen, do you have any favorite scooter features that you look for?
Because I'm boring and I like the cruiser idea, I like cruise control.
Okay.
So cruise control is really handy. I like having a comfortable ride. I also have fairly large feet, so having, the space for my feet on it,
Bigger deck.
a bigger deck can be quite nice.
Yeah.
Although, you know what, I happen to ride a lot is like this one behind me here, the U-Scooter GT or the Booster V. I love those scooters because, they're so easy, they're so practical, they're so small.
Yes.
That I can just grab it and walk out the door. I'm not thinking about lugging it up and down stairs.
Yeah.
There's no elevator in the apartment building, so I don't have to, I have to carry everything.
Yes, up the stairs. I've helped Tim once or twice move things up the stairs, so
much appreciated.
I understand.
I think the last time it was the Wolf King GT Pro, and that's a big one.
So those are kind of the features. But when you're reviewing things, you're looking at things like the use of the throttle and the brakes and the durability, the suspension. So there's a whole bunch of factors that you try and comment on.
Yeah, and I'm also curious myself because I'm not particularly technical. Even in the way I make my videos, they're not technical. If you want technical videos, I'm not the guy. I'm more about feeling, like what does it feel like? But with that in mind, I do have in the back of my mind, I'm looking at things that could go wrong with scooters. Yes. So when I see solid tires, for example, I think, well, that's a bonus, especially for a bigger guy, but for just anybody that's commuting. Yeah. If you're riding around, maybe it's not that comfortable, but my goodness, at least you're not going to get a flat tire. Yeah. And, late for work, late for soccer practice, late for refereeing a game. Yep. I can't risk that. So, it's one thing to save money, but the other thing is I need to make sure I'm there on time.
So it's a balance of features, and you're looking at the whole scooter and not any particular feature. Okay.
Exactly. Great question, Mike.
That's good. Yeah. So again, just coming back, you mentioned this before, but you make it a point to respond to all comments on your videos. And why do you do that?
Well, I have a bit of experience in YouTube land. My wife and I set up a couple of YouTube channels. I think we're into year number 12. Oh, so we've been doing YouTube for a long time. And one of the things I noticed with YouTube was that if you would like to, it's not about getting more views, it's not about growing subscribers, that doesn't actually matter as much. It's really about creating community. And so if I can help by answering some questions in the comments below all the videos, that seems to be the biggest thing. I mean, my wife and I having these two YouTube channels for so long, we just noticed that if you answer the comments, the community grows around you. And, we've been delighted by the growth over those years, and doing the electric scooter videos and the electric bike videos, having a community, and I love it because I get to see people and hear from people on a regular basis. It's not just one person pops in and says one thing. Yeah. It's the same people coming back over and over again. So you start to build some sort of camaraderie and shared passion, if you like.
I noticed a lot of comments, and people, again, have questions sometimes, or they ask to get your feedback on a certain aspect. So you're right, it does provide a different perspective of the reviews you're doing. That's great. So let's, have you had any close calls during your riding, or seen any road rage events when you're out there?
That's a good question. I mean, we've had the close call with yourself. Yes. I mean, Michael was involved. He was going very slowly, hit a pothole, went over the handlebars. I was ahead of him. I didn't actually see it, although I saw it on camera later because you were wearing a camera. And, I came back onto the scene. That's the one time where I was a little bit nervous, I was worried for you and your health. That was frightening. Yeah. I've seen a few TikTok videos where people, and they always seem to be on electric unicycles, but these TikTok videos and Instagram videos, you see them doing crazy things like not wearing helmets and not wearing knee pads and stuff like that. I was like, oh my goodness, you guys are crazy. So I do see a little bit of that, but me personally, I've hit wet leaves one fall day. Okay. I came off an electric scooter. I can't remember which one it was, but no worse for wear really. I jumped off, jumped back on, no problem.
Yeah, but you advise people to kind of drive defensively,
wear a helmet, yes. Yeah.
Is there any other safety gear that you recommend to people just for the commuter sort of style that you say you do?
I do. I typically wear gloves. Yeah. Especially, two things. Number one, it's cold, but number two, if you do come off, then that little bit of extra rash from the the tarmac will be a little. Perhaps you're going to save your fingers a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think. I love them.
Yeah, because I've seen people who are in that risk taker category, and they have full helmets and
Yeah.
you know and
And
leathers and all that, but you know, that's for their style.
You bring a good point. Bring up a good point there, Michael. Because you know, truly, if I'm doing any of the bigger scooters like the Wolf King GT Pro, I probably should be wearing a full face, certainly with a chin guard. Probably make sure I'm wearing long pants and proper, you know, protective gloves, because they are much more. They're a much bigger unit. And especially if you're going a little bit more than 30 kilometers an hour, it's probably really wise that I do that. So it is something I'm going to invest in, is another helmet for just the bigger scooters.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I'm just, oh, well, maybe as a wrap up, is there sort of a random fact that you'd like to share with your subscribers? And
A random fact. Well, the only random fact that a lot of people assume I'm born and bred in Canada.
Okay.
And I happen not to be. I was actually, I was sort of raised in the UK. I lived in Switzerland for a little bit, and but I was actually born in Uganda. So, you know, East Africa. So you know, I'm sure a lot of people don't think of me as being Ugandan, but all my Ugandan friends out there, Jambo Jambo, have fun. Yeah, thank you so much, Michael, for taking the time to do the interview. Michael's a phenomenal person. I love working with him. We have a lot of fun out here doing the camera work. He's really details oriented, so that really helps, because every so often I'll forget to do something with the scooter and be like, I think you may have forgotten to mention the you know, the motor size. I'm like, oh right, yeah, because I'm not overly details. I'm all about the feeling. Thanks for watching. If you had any questions about this video, or if you have questions for me or Michael, put them down in the comments. I do answer every question, and thank you very much. Thanks. Appreciate it. Cheers, mate. Thanks. That's awesome.